It's time to put some things back because there will be some displacement effect. Okay, hello. As you go through, let's say your chromos, as you go through your OP, some things will be displaced. Okay, so we're gonna put them back. General answering structures really refers to level 3 criteria. Okay, I'll focus more on essays first. Why? Because your higher order case studies are like mini essays. Okay, so level 3 criteria is something we ought to know. Hello. So when you look at L3 criteria, it depends on whether you're looking at part A or part B. You only have two parts, right? Part A or part B. If you're writing part A of an essay, level 3 requires two things. You need a combination of content and context. Two C's. Okay? So what is content and what is context? Content, also known as a very familiar phrase that you probably have heard from a teacher's Rigour, or sometimes they call it economic analysis. Whether it's content, whether it's Rigour, whether it's economic analysis, it means four things. All right? So what are the four things? Definitions. So if you're wondering, is the definition important in econs? Absolutely. But we also need to know certain things that are important. I don't expect you to go around defining demand, supply, okay, every time you write a DDSS essay. But definitions, especially when you have any elasticity concept, super duper important. You got to put it in. And you must remember, when you define, there's always a comma. What comes after the comma? It's not an English phrase, it's ceteris paribus. Still remember? Yeah, it's been a while, but when you write your definitions, they must be precise. You cannot use your own words, okay? Followed by diagrams. Now, we'll say ideally one in R1, one in R2, but sometimes if you're rushing for time or if the question doesn't require that, just one diagram or two. But I will be super suspicious if the whole part A has no diagram. I'll be wondering if I left something out. And if you're wondering in that direction, you're probably right. There's probably a diagram somewhere that you've omitted. Okay? So you draw diagrams, just make sure they're well labeled. This is just a reminder. I'm giving a lot of these reminders to the J2s. In a bit to save time, they are cutting out on the things like the size of the diagram becomes very small now. Not labeling the axis. All these cannot. Okay? Or using their own short form, output becomes O/P. O/P can mean oral presentation, right? Can mean a lot of things. So you gotta spell it out. Okay? And this part, I will just call it explanation. If I leave it as explanation, it's not helping much. It's so broad. So what exactly is explanation? Please make sure you explain your diagrams with rigor. Okay? So explaining diagrams with rigor, what does it mean? Okay? When it comes to DDSS, today we just talk about DDSS. Next week we talk about market failure and following that, something else, okay? If you look at DDSS, explaining your diagrams with rigor means your price adjustment process is very important. You all remember this thing called the price adjustment process or the market adjustment process? PAP or MAP. So after you shift the curve, you gotta highlight there's a shortage or surplus. Then there's upward pressure or downward pressure on price, blah, blah, blah. Certain things happen after that, okay? So the price adjustment process, later I'll demonstrate as well, okay? Now, other than explaining diagrams, you have to explain your factors with rigor. Factors with rigor, what do I mean by that? I'm gonna show you an example, okay? Sometimes I will just open up a J2 prelim paper and then you all shouldn't recoil with horror like, oh, this is still so long, so far away from us. No. If I show you a J2 prelim paper from DDSS topic, you are already equipped to answer it. Next year, they are not going to reteach DDSS or market failure or firms. Everything you learn this year will be what you'll be applying next year in your A-levels as well. So you gotta make sure we do it once, we do it good. That's why December, you can do some work and send to me for marking. Okay? So if I show you this question,